Good morning and welcome to Tech 293 on Tuesday, March 30th. The purpose of this video in today's class session is to do the first half of Lab 7. That is the heat treatment portion of Lab 7 that we talked about in the last class session. So without further ado, I'm going to send it down to my special correspondent in the Turner Hall Plastics Lab.
Welcome back to the Plastics Lab in Turner Hall. I'm in the big room that's right next to the Instron UTM that you've used in the past couple of labs. And I am ready to do Lab 7, the first part of it, which is the heat treatment portion of Lab 7. I've got my lab manual page right here so I can follow along. You know, even though I wrote these instructions and I've done this a bunch of times, it's still really easy to make a mistake. So I'm going to follow along step by step on page 75 and 76 as I do this. So the equipment that we're going to use today, we're going to use the high temperature furnace. That's this furnace right here. It's the larger one. And it has been set to 1,550 degrees Fahrenheit for the past couple of hours. And it is steady at that temperature. It's holding at 1550 Fahrenheit. And we've got our lower temperature furnace. This one, same thing, but at 1100 degrees Fahrenheit. It's been holding at 1100 Fahrenheit for a couple of hours as well. So they're stable at those extremely high temperatures. I wish you could feel that. When I open the door, it's just a blast of really, really hot air that seems to come out of the furnace at you. What else do I got here? I got tongs that I'm going to use because I don't want to put my hand inside those hot furnaces. I've also got hot mitts that I'm going to use because, like I said, it's hot. And we are going to use ceramic cooling stones. That's what these things are right here. Like I said, it's a cooling stone, and it's kind of like pumice. It's kind of a lightweight rock, and it prevents us from melting the countertop when we want to cool these things down. We also need a bucket of water to quench the specimens. I don't have water in it yet, but this is the metal bucket that I'm going to use for quenching. And we're not going to use item number 3, the Sharpie V-notch test machine today. You're going to do that next time. And I got the specimens. So I've got 6 of each. 6 are going to be specimen 1, 6 is specimen 2. No, cancel that. There are 5 groups. I've got 5 specimen 1s, 5 specimen 2s, 5 specimen 3s, and so forth. And the way we're going to be able to identify them is by the number of little notches in them. If you can see this right there, on the side up here, I took these specimens and I cut a little groove in them with the band saw in the machine shop, and that way you'll be able to identify which one is specimen 1, which one's specimen 2, and so on and so forth. So here's the notch. You know, this is the notch that we're going to use for testing. It's important for the test. And then just on the back side of it, this is just to identify which specimen it is. So that's specimen 1. And here is specimen 2. So it has just 2 notches that I made with the bandsaw on the back of it. And here is specimen 3. It has 3 notches up here, 3 grooves cut with the bandsaw. And here is specimen 4. It has 4 notches or grooves cut into it with the bandsaw. So I've got 5 of each of these, and I've got these back here. I've got 5 specimen 1s right here, because there are 5 groups of you. And I've got 5 specimen 2s right here and 5 specimen 4s right there. And the way I'm going to put them into the furnace, I'm going to put all the specimen 1s at the back left, all the specimen 2s at the back right of the furnace, all the specimen 3s the front left, and all the specimen 4s the front right. That way I'll be able to know which one is which without having to stare really closely at it inside the furnace. All right. Of course, we have specimen 5 and 6, but those don't get heat treated. Specimen 5, you're going to test just normal at room temperature without heat treatment. And specimen 6 is going to be normal, but put in the liquid nitrogen. So it'll be really, really cold. All right, so that's all of our equipment. Let's Step 1 says to preheat the high temperature furnace. We've done that. Step 2 says to preheat the low temperature furnace. We've done that. Step 3 says to make those grooves. That's what I was just showing you. So now you can identify, when you do the testing for the second half of Lab 7, you can identify which specimen is which. And now we are ready to go with step 4. Step 4 says to place specimens 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the high temperature furnace for at least 30 minutes. So I'm going to suit up. You're going to use these tongs and mitts, by the way, when you do the liquid nitrogen specimen in the second half of this lab, because you don't want to be touching that super cooled metal that's negative 200 and some degrees Fahrenheit with your bare hands. So you're going to use these as well to pull out the specimen from the liquid nitrogen and put it in the Sharpie V-notch impact tester. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. Normally it's nice to have 2 people doing this so that one person can hold the front of the furnace, hold it open, because they tend to kind of fall down a little bit. So hopefully it'll stay in position. I'm the only person in this lab, which is the reason why I don't have to be wearing a face mask. So hopefully the door to this oven will just kind of stay open. Whew, that is hot. I don't know how well you can see, but it is red hot inside there. All right, so all the specimen 1s are going on the back left. I could be wearing my swimsuit right now, and that'd be plenty warm. Whew. Okay, that's all specimen 1s. Now all the specimen 2s in the back right. Got 2 that time. Here's the last one for specimen 2. Okay, now all the specimen 3s. Got 2 of them that time. And here's the 5th one. There's number 5. All right, now all the specimen 4s. I got 2 of them that time. 2 at once. I got 2 at once again. So there's 4 of them, and here's the last one. There we go. I didn't mean to slam that. Oh boy, that is really hot. Oh man, my face is all red. All right, so we got all the specimens in there, and the next thing we need to do is set the timer for 30 minutes. So I've got my phone. I'll set the timer for 30 minutes. And I'll see you then. All right, it's been 30 minutes. It's amazing how time flies when you're watching a video like this. So we are ready to proceed with step 5. Step 5 says to remove specimens 1, 2, and 3 from the high temperature furnace and then quickly place them in the bucket of water. This is called water quenching. All right, so we're gonna do that, and I'm gonna read ahead a couple steps too, just to see what else we're gonna do. We're also gonna remove specimen 4, and we're going to place it on the cooling brick, and that's the one that's going to be air quenched. All right, and then we are going to put specimen 2. I'm looking at step 8. We're going to put specimen 2 in a low temperature furnace. That one's going to be tempered, and then we're going to put specimen 3s in step 9 back into the high temperature furnace. That one's going to be annealed. All right, so the cooling bricks, I want to remember which one I'm going to use for which specimen. I'm going to follow the same procedure. I'm going to put the specimen 1s on the back left. So I'll put the specimen 1s back here, and the specimen 2s in the back right, the specimen 3s in the front left, and the specimen 4s in the front right. All right, so I'm going to suit up with my tongs and the gloves. And I've got my bucket of water all set up.
I'm gonna move this down so you can see the bucket of water. All right, there's the bucket of water that we're gonna use for water quenching. So now step 5 says we're gonna remove specimens 1, 2, and 3, and we're gonna quickly place them in the bucket of water. This is pretty cool. It makes a fun sound that I hope is captured by the video camera as I do this. All right, specimens 1, 2, and 3. Let's do it. All right, these things are gonna be cherry red hot inside here. There we go. Oh yeah. All right, these are bright red. I want to show you real quick. I don't have time to do much, but there you go. That's what it looks like. You hear that? All right, while I'm here, I'm going to get the specimen 4s. I'm going to take the specimen 4s out because that's what it said in the next step. And I just got the specimen 1s out. I'm going to wait just about a minute, and then I'm going to pull the specimen 1s out of the bucket and put them on the cooling bricks, and then I'll grab the specimen 2s out of there. All right, it's been about a minute, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab the specimen 1s out of the bucket, put those on the cooling bricks. This is like bobbing for apples. Okay, that was all 5 of the specimen 1s. Now I'm going to do the same thing with specimen 2. That was all the specimen 2s, so I'm going to let those cool for about a minute inside the water, and then we'll remove those, and then grab the specimen 3s out of the furnace. All right, it's been about a minute, so I'm going to grab the specimen 2s out of the bucket and put them on the cooling brick, and then I'll grab the specimen 3s from the furnace. Last one. All right, now I'm going to grab the specimen 3s out of the furnace, put them in the quenching bucket. There we go. All right, now I'm going to wait 1 more minute to let those cool down inside the bucket, and then we'll come back. All right, it's been about a minute, so I'm going to grab the specimen 3s out of the bucket and put them on the cooling bricks. All right, everything's out of the bucket. We just finished with step 6, which was taking specimen 4
out and putting it on the cooling bricks. We did that right after we did specimen 1s, whenever we water quenched them. So we have finished step 6 and we've finished step 7. And now we are on step 8. And step 8 says to take the specimen 2 and put them in the low temperature furnace for 30 minutes. All right, so all the specimen 2s, that's in the upper right up here, we're going to put all of these in the low temperature furnace over here. All right, and it's still holding at 1100 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, it's still hot. It's not quite as hot as the other furnace, but it's hot. All right, all 5 of the specimen 2s are in the low temperature furnace. Now we're on step 9. Take the specimen 3s and put them back in the high temperature furnace. All right, so the specimen 3s are at the bottom left here. We're going to put those back in the high temperature furnace. One, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5. All right, so we need to leave specimen 2 in low temperature furnace for 30 minutes. And we need to leave specimen 3 in the high temperature furnace for 30 minutes. And then at the end of that 30 minutes, we'll come back and we're going to remove the specimen 2s from the low temperature furnace. But all we're going to do is turn off the high temperature furnace without removing the specimen 3s. So once again, I'll set my timer for 30 minutes and I'll see you back here. All right, it's been 30 minutes and we're back and ready to do step 10. Step 10 says to remove the specimen 2s from the low temperature furnace and place them on the cooling bricks. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so there's definitely a difference in the color. They're very hot, but they are not glowing cherry red like the ones were before from the high temperature furnace. All right, got all the specimen 2s, and it says to turn off the low temperature furnace. Okay. And now step 11 is to turn off the high temperature furnace with all the specimen 3s inside. Okay, so we're going to turn this one off. Now that one's off too. And those are going to gradually cool over about the next 24 hours. And by that time, they'll be down to room temperature. And that's called annealing. All right, so to review, we got these 3 specimens here and 1 set of specimens here. We got specimen 1 up here. This was the one where we heated it up to a really high temperature above the upper critical temperature and then water quenched it. So we hardened it and water quenched it. Specimen 2 is the one that we hardened it with a water quench. And then after that, we tempered it in the low temperature furnace. That's the one we just got finished doing. So that's specimen 2. Specimen 3, we hardened with a water quench as well. But now we are annealing it. So that's what we're doing in the high temperature furnace right now. And the last one, specimen 4, with that one, we heated it up to above the upper critical temperature, and then we are allowing it to cool with an air quench at room temperature. All right, and then of course, specimen 5 is gonna be as it came from the metals distributor, and specimen 6 is gonna be as it came from the metals distributor, but then cooled down in liquid nitrogen. Okay, that's going to wrap things up for the first half of Lab 7 and the first video for today. It's funny how this video is not really very long, but it took me, it was about 2 hours to do all that. So when you cut out all the pauses, it's funny how it really doesn't take really that long.
In the next video, we're going to talk about impact testing, which is exactly what we're going to do in the second half of Lab 7. So in the next video, we'll talk about impact testing, and we'll talk about the instructions for the second half of Lab 7. So I'll see you there.